In the beginning, there was me. I was rhythm. Life.
So Zach, first thing I want to ask you about is you go by a number of different names, and I love all of them, and I love being able to Rolodex them all when I talk to people too. Like, it's Zach, and he's new MC, and he's the son of God, and he's white Jesus, and So tell me about that, how that evolves.
To be up and down honest, that's somewhat of a mistake. I didn't do a good job in my journey of branding myself. I don't have one name that encompasses everything I've done, and that's probably isn't the smartest decision strategically wise, but it all just happened naturally. New MC, New was my tag, NEW was my tag, MAS Crew CIA Squad. We were just, I was just a toy writer. I was a pretty weak graffiti artist, but I was putting in work for a small amount of time, or a good amount of time, in the 90s and end of the 80s, and so that transferred over. That was my name. People called me New, and then rapping, it became New MC. There was if I remember right, the first person I ever heard put MC at the back of their name was an old rapper from the 80s named Father MC, but I probably bit it more from a local rapper from St. Paul named Knowledge MC. He was one of my favorite rappers, and I just thought it was fresh how he put the MC at the back of his name. So then I started, adapting that and going New MC. Big Zach just came from a rapper named Medium Zach, a rapper / producer named Medium Zach from the group Big Quarters. When he appeared on the scene about 2002, people just started to separate us and call us Big Zach and Little Zach because he was only like 18 years old when I was like 25 or something. The White Jesus is actually a nickname that I was given, and it's actually a character in a science fiction book that I had written, and it's actually just kind of blended over, and my real name, my birth name is Zachariah, and I just tell people my name is Zach. But I've also had so many groups, like people will be like Zach from Kanser, New MC from Kanser, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of a mix. And then to even make it more complicated, under my books, I write them under Zach Combs.
You as, part of this history now, you got time behind you to look back on and reflect on and to base yourself off of. And now here you are as a creator. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling like writing a lot. I'm feeling like the journey that's behind me it was a very interesting journey, and but it wasn't by definition super successful. You know what I'm saying? I don't have like a rock star musical career, but my journey is pretty interesting, at least to myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I feel like I'm 36, and I feel like I would imagine some people that hit 36, they're looking at their life of a couple different ways. There's a few ways to look at it, but the main two that are easiest to use are someone who's 36 and they look back at their life like they made a lot of mistakes. Like their whole life is like, I wish I could change that. I wish I could go back and change that because I messed up there, I messed up there, I messed up, and I blew my chances. Then there's people who you classify as that dude's just a winner. You know what I'm saying? Like people envision things, they made things happen. And they're 36 right now, and they're proud of where they're at. You know what I'm saying? My life journey, when I look at myself in the mirrors, is a very bit of both. I made a good amount of mistakes, and I did a few things right. You know what I'm saying? And it was all growth. And my boy Masha was saying this the other day, my boy Masha was like, you get to about 32, 33, 30, maybe even 31, and it's like the world gets revealed to you, because all of a sudden you have your 20s to look back on and be like your 20s is laid out, and you're like, oh, that happened because I did this, and this happened because I did, you know what I'm saying? You're probably feeling the same way. My boy Arthur made a joke last night. He was like, he's 33 now, and he's like, man, it's like the 20s are like a test run to life, you know what I'm saying? But so I don't know if that directly answered your question.
Doesn't matter.
But
yeah, it doesn't matter at all. I love it.
I'm feeling like the best I can do as a human being is take the mistakes I've made and put them into my art forms, which right now are mainly focused on writing and share it, because I think some true intelligence is a 21-year-old person who can learn from other people's mistakes and not make all the mistakes that we made.
There is a tangible purpose with what you're doing now, from the aspect of I might be able to teach a little.
Yeah, yep, a little bit. I read a book when I was 22. It was called The Celestine Prophecy. It was a story, but the storyline was just a way for the author to slip in the dude's theories about life, about how he thought energy moved and coincidences. And I read it, and it definitely changed my life. You know what I'm saying? It helped me. I learned from it, and I'd be lying if I said that it taught me the answers to life, and then everything was smooth from there on out. But the lessons unfolded throughout my life, and I even read the other books that he's written too. The author's written too. I think his name's James Redfield or something. And I would like to write something like that. I read a book by the RZA called I don't know if it's Daowu or Taowu. It's spelled T-A-O.
Yeah, the Tao.
The Daowu. And from what I read, I thought this dude was really just trying to give you stories about his life and his interpretation of reality. You know what I'm saying? He got this story in there that I really liked, where he was out. I think him and his homies were on mescaline or something, and they were out in some Puerto Rican or Mexican neighborhood, and they were starting trouble. And eventually, some guys from the neighborhood came after him, and they had to run. And the RZA dropped his hat, and or no, he didn't drop. He stumbled or something. I can't remember. But when they ran up, he pulled his hat off, and they ran by him, so they didn't beat him up. And he feels his interpretation of reality is Allah made him invisible, and if that, like, whether that would be true to someone else's reality, because the other person might not believe that a human being could become invisible. The RZA had to explain to himself why they ran by him, and the best explanation to himself would probably be like God protected him, or Allah protected him. Mm-hmm. Allah, God, same thing, different interpretations. But in my books, I want to give the same thing. There are things I want to give the similar things, similar examples of my interpretation to stuff has happened in my life where the only logical way my mind can explain what happened is there was divine interference, or there was karma, or there was the energy of karma, or give and receive. I'm trying to write books that will give my interpretation of reality, and maybe another human being can be like, get open to belief that maybe their beliefs are as real as I believe mine are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That makes me think of one of the things with Massive Amounts of Good that we believe in is micro giving. So the significance of one act of giving. So I want to shift gears for a second and talk about you as a creator and your process. Okay, so I want to use the example of Deploy was in town recently he came out for the Massive Amounts of Good tour and stuff, and everybody on tour was impressed with his work ethic, from the sense that he had his phone there, right? Because the digital era has changed a lot of how some people create, and he's able to just freestyle into his phone concepts constantly. Whenever he's across the room and he's just talking into that phone. And that was just his flow. He was in it, and it was happening right while we were hanging out, when we were in the hotel, backstage, on the road, and those concepts are building into his creative landscape. And so it was inspiring and interesting because I know everybody does it differently.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do it?
With rap, I don't have a high tech phone. I got a dumb phone, but I try to write down anything that comes to me. There was a time where I just didn't. I went maybe 6 months where I wasn't writing stuff down. I just got in a bad habit of not doing it, and then my rhymes really suffered because all those ideas, like you might hear somebody say something tonight that you're like, that's clever, I should put that in a rhyme, or picking up things from TV or something. But my new process for writing books is dedicating complete time to it. Like my schedule's wide open. Like I don't got nothing going on. I don't got no shows booked, nothing. It's just like every day, Sunday through Sunday, when I wake up, my objective is to write. And I was able to finish 2 books and self-publish them this year. And sometimes when you get in a groove, you can just produce art like that. But sometimes you can't force it. If it's not coming out, you need to stop and switch it up. But right now, I'm just in a groove with it. You know what I'm saying?
Reed and I were talking the other night,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I'm getting Zach's books. I was all on it.
Man, I'm sure Reed told you, I just had lunch with him where I wanted him to tell me about what he thought about my books. And I think I did get a lot out of our conversation, but we were at a salad bar, and we went to the salad bar, and he was like, so where did we begin? And I think he just wanted to start spitting me thoughts, and I was like, hold on, let's get the salads first. Then we sat down, and I kind of like asked him direct questions like, who's your favorite character? Who'd you dislike? Whoop-de-whoop. And I feel like Reed's an artist. I should have just let him tell me what he thought, you know what I'm saying, and express himself. But it was real fun. It's real fun to have another person break down their science fiction world in their head.
How important has feedback from other creators been for your creative journey?
It's probably just been as important as anyone else's feedback. There's the first cat that read my first draft of my novel. His name's Riando, and I believe he's an artist definitely in his own way. He's but he's not like someone you hear about like on the hip hop scene or anything. But he's just a very intelligent dude, a cat who's read all the Game of Thrones books, a cat who you can sit with him, go over to his house, sit with him in his garage, and he can break down his thoughts about the universe and what's happening around us, you know. Hearing him break down the book was so enjoyable, and just as enjoyable as say like a Franz Diego, who is a local rapper from a group called Luminous 3, and his brother Freeze from Luminous 3 broke down my book too for me, and and Reed broke it down, and it's just as fun as some girl who's not an artist who sends me a long email. But I don't know how to define artist, so I don't want to say no one's not an artist.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. It's a slippery slope, right?
Mm-hmm. Or it's just like a lot of people create on their own time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say anyone's not an artist who maybe might have sent me an email telling me what they thought about the book.
Yeah. And so is it you're feeling like writer as opposed to rapper at this point? Are you feel like you can do it all?
I don't know. St. Paul Slim, you know him? I went to meet with him before my book came out, and I gave him the first copy, and he looked at it and he was like, so this is the evolution, huh? And I think what he was saying is like, these are just your new raps. You just put them in a different form. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's my new album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I only made 2 songs this year. One with my brother Big Wiz and Mike the Martyr. My brother's Big Wiz and Mike the Martyr. And then I made a song with Useful Jenkins that we're gonna put out the video
cool.
On New Year's. It's called Speak, and that's the only full song that I made in 2013. But it's right now I feel like it's just the best song I was ever able to create, so I feel good about it.
Wow.
I don't know what the future holds with music. I don't know. I'm in a little bit of a limbo, but I'm gonna just keep creating and see what keeps coming.
I want to talk a little bit about tonight and I can't help but get nostalgic with the lineup tonight when I think about Abilities being here and the whole thing that happened in Minneapolis over the last decade. The idea that a lot of it came out of battle rapping.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, first off, you go back over 10 years. With me, Carnage, and Abilities, who are all on the bill tonight, we can go back. We were doing stuff together in 98, 97. And where I think what really needs to be recognized is that there was a scene before us, you know what I'm saying, that is not as documented as the newer scene, because the newer scene probably involved a few rappers that got very successful, artists such as Abilities.
Yeah, Brother Ali and Atmosphere.
But there was an era before that, such as my book, my first book, doesn't really cover it. You know what I'm saying? And I say in my book, I say in chapter 2, like, they're blah, 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 the main groups in the 80s, their story is not in this book. I'd love to hear a book written about them. I put that in chapter 2 in my book. But still, I've had kids come up to me and be like, Zach's book tells you where Twin Cities hip-hop came from, and that is not true. There was a whole era.
Back at you. Right back at you. Drove around the block. Drove a lot.